Hi, this is Jill Riley, and I am excited to talk with Rob Bryson of the Gathering House in Spokane right now. So, Spokane was kind of my childhood playground because I grew up right next door in Coeur d'Alene. So, it's fun to hear stories from kind of my neck of the woods. So, welcome, Rob.
Good to be with you.
Yeah, how long have you been at the Gathering House?
17 years. It was First Covenant Spokane when I arrived. We sold a downtown building and moved up to build our coffee shop church in a business district, changed the name to the Gathering House, and been going strong in this site for 10 years.
That's amazing. Well, the reason why we're talking today is because you guys have started a new global food and craft market, and I wanted you to tell us just a little bit about that. So, what's going on? You're doing this for a couple of months?
Well, yeah, actually 2 nights. We've only had 2 nights of it. In previous years, because we're in the heart of this really cool little business district, we'd had a farmer's market that ran for like 5 years. And last year it didn't happen for a variety of reasons in partnership with the business district. And so we let everything just sort of go quiet. And we prayed a lot about, what we should do because we felt like there was enough farmers markets in Spokane. And one of the girls in our church who was part of that really felt strongly. She said, what's missing is a place where all the immigrant and refugee businesses can have a specific market for them
Mhm.
where it would be designed to be their businesses. Language can be removed as a barrier. We can partner with World Relief, with Thrive International, with Manzanita House, with other people who are working with refugees and immigrants. And let's do something specifically creating a global food and art market. And we began that
Wow.
process last fall, and we've had 2 nights of it now. We've launched it, and it's been pretty cool. It's been very interesting because when we first started, we had, as you can imagine, we had a ton of vendors who wanted to be a part of it. And as the political climate has changed regarding immigration, we've had a lot drop out, particularly the Hispanic community.
Okay.
So we have Syrians, Iraqis, Afghanistan, Ukrainian, one family from Mexico City. But what was a little disappointing was how much the Hispanic population just sort of went dark, went into hiding, kind of backed out.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah. So, talk to me a little bit more about that. How is the heartbeat of your church embracing this multicultural community that's gathering around you?
Yeah, I think, well, for one, our church was already kind of used to doing odd things out the gate, stuff that's not typical church activity. We do all kinds of events here anyway. We'd already had a farmer's market here. So our congregation was very used to doing different things. We held over 500 meetings and events last year that were not church services and not coffee shop days.
Wow.
So we're constantly booking rooms like the one I'm in right now. Through relationships with other pastors, other Christian leaders who are working with refugees in Spokane, we contacted them and said, what do you guys think if you would bring your clientele who want to be entrepreneurial business people and you'd bring them up here and one night a week they could sell their craft, sell their food, sell their art, and work on getting to know Americans, learning business principles, paying the taxes, getting a business license, managing the money, and all of that. And some of them said, well, the language would be a barrier, but all of them had people who could do the language.
Oh,
So,
okay.
right. So we worked without those organizations, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off.
Right.
And then the Thrive and World Relief for sure are always present at the market for any conversations anyone wants to have about the reality of refugee and immigrant situations in Spokane.
So, what's kind of the landscape? I know you mentioned several different cultures and nationalities that are involved. Is there just a broad spectrum of refugee resettlement happening?
There is a broad spectrum because World Relief's been bringing people in from Karen communities, Myanmar, Africa. For years, they've been bringing people in to Spokane. They're the only organization actually that brings in refugees in our Christian organization. And then about 2, 3 years ago, whenever the Ukrainian war started, two guys, Mark Finney, being one of our fellow evangelical covenant pastors, and another pastor friend, Boris Borisov, who pastored a Slavic church, had started a ministry to help work with the Slavic people. And the Ukraine war broke out. And next thing you know, they were bringing in thousands of Ukrainians. I think 20 to 30,000 Ukrainians have come to Spokane in the last few years.
Really?
Yeah, and then now they've shifted gears over the last year. They're bringing in huge amounts of Syrians. So,
That's
um,
amazing. So
yeah.
tell
So,
me
and
a
then
little
once
bit
there's,
about what was offered at the market, different kinds of food and crafts.
it's really a food court. So the bulk of it is really a food court. We have 4 food vendors on each corner, shawarma and street tacos and Asian food, and it's phenomenal. Syrian. These three Iraqi ladies make the best shawarma. They're just phenomenal. I love their stuff. And so it's yeah, they come. And the biggest confusion that they had initially was everybody kind of knew we were a church, and so the Muslims were like, can we want to do this? And so we sat in a lot of meetings and just talked about this is not a religious function. This is an economic function. It's a
Mhm.
and over along the way we're building relationships, creating friendships, and we're not shy about our faith, but it's not a upfront part of the market. The market
Right.
is about economics and helping immigrant populations make American friends.
I love that. You know, I was telling you just earlier when we were chit-chatting, one of the things that I find remarkable about that is growing up in North Idaho in the 80s when the white supremacists were there, that was such a non-diverse area. So to hear you talk about that is really exciting to me.
Yeah, it's changed. I mean, we have like 30,000 Marshallese in Spokane, so there's I read once, and this was a decade ago, there's 25,000 homes where Spanish is the main language in the home. So, and we're a
Wow.
population, 500,000 people in the county, but there's not like a Latin neighborhood or Ukrainian neighborhood or a
Mhm.
Syrian neighborhood. It's not like that. Everybody's scattered and spread out inside the community. So,
So you guys will go every week now from now until the end of July.
yep. And this is our goal is this will be an annual thing for us. The Global Food and Art Market will be every May, June, July. We'll see kind of how the vendors go with all of it, but they're very excited. The hardest part's been learning to have all the licenses and health code permits and everything, making because you can make a great street taco at home. It's a long way to be able to sell it out of a stand.
Right,
And so learning
right.
the business has been hard, but we don't do that. The other organizations like World Feast Kitchen work with everybody on that and get them the licenses. And so it's really this collective
So you're
partnership.
just kind of the host of all of this gathering.
Yeah. We're the
That's
host site. And then we're getting, because, the shawarma and the street tacos are being sold here, we're getting immigrant population coming down to be customers and hanging out. And we set up tons of round tables of 8 in the middle of the parking lot. So that's our food courts, all the vendors around the outside perimeter. And there's a food court in the middle, and lots of people are making lots of friends.
so how can we as the Covenant community pray for this venture and for your church and you specifically?
I would say for this particular global market, one of the prayers would be to diffuse the fear that is happening with the Hispanic community.
Hmm.
And we've talked a lot with like if they're even if they're here legally and they've got paperwork and documentation, they're like not coming out. They're laying very low.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just dispelling that and creating some friendships would be huge. And then just praying for the overall success. We were really looking for even more vendors. We've got a good 12 going now, but we'd love to have 25 to 30 vendors out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and so more vendors would be good.
Well, I
And for
love
me,
that you're embracing the mosaic of people that are around you and able to find a place to be a gathering of friends.
yeah, we found, because we got corporate sponsors for this, two banks and a optometrist and a real estate office. And I
Were
know a
they
couple.
excited to be a part of it?
Oh yeah, they were. I mean, they gave us between the four of them, they gave us $8,000 to get it going, and all of them were excited to be. Yeah, we want to be a part of. Put my name up there. Put the name of my company on this thing, right? And they were so for this, and it's because it's interesting. They're like, oh, economic business startup. Oh, we're all about that because we're businessmen. And
Yeah,
so if anyone's wanting to start a business, we'll help support that.
that's great. Well, Rob, thanks so much for sharing. And we've been sharing some pictures as you're talking about it. And we're just excited with you. And we will be praying with you in the Gathering House as you step into this venture.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's been a joy talking to you.
You too.